Please be seated. Your Highness, Sheikh Ahmed bin Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Your Highnesses, Excellencies, members of the Governing Board, President Demasi, Mr. Trump, distinguished guests, graduates. Welcome to the 20th commencement exercises of the American University in Dubai. Over the last 20 years that I have congratulated AUD graduates on their accomplishment, our world has seen a great deal of challenge. We look back on those years fondly. We have grown as people, as a university, as a community. We have watched as His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum has led the development of Dubai and served as our inspiration to always dream big and look toward the future. The unique leadership of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed made Dubai a city of tolerance where people accept each other, a place where people from all over the world, different nations, faiths, and cultures come to live and work in peace and harmony. I want to tell you today that we have to follow the example of His Highness, looking ahead to build a world that reflects the success, understanding, and happiness we see in Dubai. Our world faces many challenges which you as graduates need to address not with optimism and resolve. It is easy today to be consumed by headlines, to grow cynical, but headlines capture what is happening in the moment, not the broader scope of where we are headed, where you will lead us. Let me illustrate what I mean. 20 years ago, when we were holding our first graduation, the headlines read that Microsoft was investing $150 million to come to the aid of a struggling computer company to save it from bankruptcy. That struggling company that many thought would not succeed was Apple Computer. The 20-year-old headlines are almost hard to believe. Not only did Apple survive, but today, Apple is the largest company in the world. I remind you of this because no matter how great our past or how dim the day ahead may look, the best days are always ahead of us, and your best days are ahead of you. Today we are quick to judge. Perhaps more than ever in history, we make instant judgments. Likes, swipes, pins, favorites, you name it, on the social media. You judge yourself the most in those small ways. But I want to tell you as graduates to start to judge yourself on the big things and over the long term. Judge yourself on how you will contribute to the world and how you will give back. Judge yourself on how you become global citizens. Work each day to reduce the negative. Take the headlines in stride and build a bright future for all of us. It is easy to be negative and to be against something or someone. Instead, take the time to be for something. Take the time to develop new ideas and take the time to learn from others. Start a dialogue. Be tolerant. Bring people together to be for something. His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid is a great believer that the youth are our solution to a better future. And for that, he provides endless support for their education in the UAE, in the Arab world, and beyond. AUD has graduated thousands of students. Almost 30% of those graduated from AUD because of scholarships carrying the name of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. According to the Global University Employability Rankings, AUD is among the 150 best universities in the world and one of only 2 in the Middle East for delivering work-ready graduates. Many of you here today have already found jobs in the UAE and across the region. And we are proud to say that many of our graduates are holding leadership positions in the public and private sector around the globe. As you enter the workforce and strive to be global citizens, you must also look to keep learning. Learning from those around you in the workplace and in your community. Each year, we choose a speaker to address this ceremony who can share their experiences to inspire and inform our graduates. And this year's speaker follows in tradition. His history is one that is not just about his family's name. It is about the path he has chosen and the accomplishments he has made. Donald Trump Jr. has traveled the world to expand the operations of the Trump Organization, one of the most recognizable brands. He has experience and perspective on how young people can approach their challenges and opportunities in business across the globe. 72% of graduates here today are earning degrees in fields related to Mr. Trump's work, from business administration to developing real estate and hospitality projects, to construction, interior design, architecture, and engineering. If we add in the most important role of business, communicating with its stakeholders, you bring that 72% to almost 100% if we take into account the School of Communications. Mr. Trump's work and experience crosses some of the most important industries for our students in Dubai, exemplified by his family's projects here in Dubai and around the world. As he stands up in front of you today and tells his story, I hope you will find him an inspiration to our diverse and global community. And Mr. Trump, I hope that your visit to AUD is an inspiration to you. Meeting our young and diverse graduates that share the same promise as students you meet in America. And we hope that you take this inspiration from these leaders of tomorrow, sitting behind us, and serve as their spokesperson, and as a spokesperson for all young people across the globe who seek a voice and a desire to live together with equal opportunities and to contribute to build a better future and a more united world. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Donald Trump Jr.
Thank you very much, Elias. Thank you to the American University in Dubai. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here today and to be back in Dubai in general. Thank you to His Highness Sheikh Ahmed bin Mohammed, Excellencies, distinguished guests, AUD's governing board, Mr. Baal Saab, Mr. Lance Damasi, and faculty and guests. Most importantly, congratulations to all of the graduates here today. Class of 17 is making me feel a little bit old, but I'll take it. And also, congratulations to your parents, mentors, teachers, and friends for all of the critical work that got you to this amazing juncture in life. I'm also excited to be here today, as it's a unique experience for me. I've gotten to travel the world speaking about business. As of late, I've had plenty of chances to speak about politics. So this is a unique and welcome break. It's a unique opportunity for me in that it's an opportunity to be able to see people at a crossroads in life, at a place where I can hope to impart some of the lessons, some of the knowledge, perhaps some of the wisdom that I've learned and/or learned the hard way throughout the last few years of my own career and journey. I'll talk about some of the things I wish that someone would have perhaps told me when I was in your shoes, perhaps some of the things that I wish the learning curve would have been a little bit steeper on. But armed with the education you receive here today, the friends and acquaintances you've met along the way, and the breadth of people from all walks of life, from all over the world, your opportunities are now boundless. Live and experience your dream, not the dreams of others, not the ones they have for you. Don't let someone's vision of your life get in the way of your dreams, especially at this stage. It's okay to take risks now, to go out and make mistakes. You're going to make them anyway, so at least now you can go out and say that I gave you some permission, give you a little bit of cover. There's nothing wrong with making mistakes, but learn from them. It sounds so obvious, but I'm not sure that all that many people truly learn and analyze their errors. Too often, I've seen Einstein's definition of insanity play out in life. His definition was a brilliant but simple one. He said insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results. It doesn't work. Roughly speaking, insanity is not learning from your errors. Use these mistakes and the subsequent lessons learned as the foundation for your continued education throughout your lives. The past few years here have just been the beginning of a lifelong journey in education and the subsequent opportunity that it creates. While I'm sure many of you are relieved to be here, as I was on my graduation day in the year 2000, quite a while ago, your journey of learning never really ends. The great thing about youth is that when you make your inevitable mistakes, you have a lot of time to recover and a lot fewer responsibilities and obligations that will ultimately be affected by them. Making your mistakes young leaves you a lifetime to be able to fix them. These mistakes are true investments in yourself if you're truly looking to better yourself. They allow you to learn and grow without the more dire consequences of those similar mistakes when there are truly greater responsibilities like family. And the risk-reward matrix of taking those chances has changed dramatically. Things become a lot harder when the ripple effect of your decisions start to affect those close to you. Those same circumstances and responsibilities may also prevent you from acting on your dreams later on for fear of those consequences, leaving a void that you may never fill. Don't squander that opportunity. It's much harder to get that other bite at the apple later on in life. I think one of the hardest questions I've ever had to look back on myself was, what if? What if I didn't join a family business? What if I did something truly different and unexpected? And what if I didn't entirely follow the path or the course of my life myself and so many others assumed I would take? It's perhaps why I moved to Colorado right after graduating from the Wharton School of Finance and finishing my own formal education. I think I'm probably the first graduate of the Wharton School of Finance to move out west to be a bartender. You can imagine how that conversation went with my father. That was a fun one. And while I'm not always sure it was the best decision, it allowed me to realize that some of my hobbies that I was so passionate about and went there to chase were not necessarily what I wanted to pursue as a career, what I wanted to base my life around. That when you do them every day, that I would have longed for the intensity of something much more. I realized that in abundant supply, even I could take my passions entirely for granted. What to some may have appeared as a wasted year allowed me to limit that what-if scenario that would have likely plagued me at 2 a.m. on a Saturday morning trying to close out a deal, during some of the thankless sometimes meaningless processes that you go through in life and in business. Not having to wonder about that road less traveled allowed me to focus and excel on the tasks at hand. It allowed me to realize what I actually wanted, but that I didn't actually know I wanted at the time. When you develop that what if later on in life, circumstances and other responsibilities may prevent you from ever acting on them. Those are regrets one should never have to face. The same lesson should apply to dialogue, and not just experiences and decisions. All too often these days, we see a narrative crafted by outside forces and we latch onto it. We don't question it. We accept it as fact, rather than testing the boundaries and engaging in conversation that could lead us to a different conclusion or perhaps sway others to do the same. Be careful of that echo chamber that so much of life today seems to be surrounded by. Diversity is in everything that we do these days, and this room at AUD is perhaps one of the prime examples of that, with 110 countries being represented. Let's just make sure that when we talk about diversity, we're also adding diversity of thought into the matrix, as it's all too often these days left to the side. It seems that everything today we geared and hear today is geared towards us hearing what we actually want to hear, not necessarily what we should be hearing. Don't just accept answers you want to hear. They're often not the right ones. True interpersonal communications have gone by the wayside. The way we receive information today is all algorithm-based, so we click only on the things that we want to see or that someone believes we want to see and hear. We tend to surround ourselves with people of like mind and don't take advantage of the incredible diversity of thought that's out there. Make sure to think about that. Make sure to do that. That kind of binary thinking doesn't bode well for progress. It doesn't bode well for the continuation and incredible, never-ending quest for knowledge that you really start today. Know both sides of the equation. Be able to argue them. Be able to argue them equally, and actually do it. The openness to new ideas that this will create will give you infinitely more options to make something work, to make something function as you grow. The ability to do this and practice doing it often in the end will enable you to argue your viewpoint more effectively and to be able to do it and counter respectfully and intelligently your most ardent critics. It's this importance of dialogue that has seemingly gone missing these days. Bring that back into your arsenal. As you go through life, you will come to a crossroads. At times it will be beneficial to take the easy route. I know I've been guilty of that myself. But there will come a time where it will behoove you to do exactly the opposite, to take a stand. For me, the last 2 years taught me a lot about this, perhaps more than I'd learned in the prior 15 years of my career. Just when I thought I had it all figured out and my path was laid out, life throws you a little bit of loop, and all of a sudden you're on a very different path that you have to learn. I learned in practice, and not just in theory, as there is a big difference, that sometimes you have to step up and do the hard things, that you have to do the things that take you out of your comfort zone, that you have to do the things because it's the right thing to do and not because it's easy, that you have to do the things not for financial gain but because you've had enough and you know you can do it better. Whether or not you're even successful is far less of a marker of one's character than the fact that you were willing to take the risk in the first place and that you were willing to put yourself out there against all the odds. When I look back on what my father did in this past election and the risk he took, to me, I'm far more impressed with the fact that he tried than by the fact that he actually won. For a billionaire to step away from an amazing life, to spend $75 million to compete against an incredible Republican field, to then go up against one of the great political machines ever assembled, to fight insurmountable odds, to have the resolve to tackle what all the experts said was, I don't know if any math majors are here, but I think it hovered around 0%. To do that was amazing. Why? Because it was time. Because he had had enough. There's no upsides to picking fights and taking sides in a binary and polarized world. But sometimes you have to do it. It's why we worked so hard ourselves as a family, 7 days a week, 20 hours a day for over a year, because we believed in him. We believed in his message, and not necessarily the contrived message that was put out there in the media, but by what he was really trying to do. It's that work ethic, that passion, that perseverance that I saw in him, and I saw him exercise every day, that was more impressive than anything. I personally was able to feed off of that passion. It was incredibly motivating. I remember in the last 2 weeks of the election cycle, I was with a friend of mine from college. It was just the two of us. We were traveling around and we were staying at a small hotel in Detroit, Michigan. And I remember looking at him saying, you know, it was about 9:30 at night, and I said, man, I'm hungry. It's been a while since we've eaten. He looked at me and said, yeah, we haven't had anything since yesterday breakfast. That passion allowed us to go for 40 hours straight without even thinking about it, because if there was 5 minutes here to do something, well, we could either do something productive or we could go eat. We worked. It was an amazing thing to experience. Again, it was the effort that was more impressive than the accomplishment. When I look back at the experience, it was truly surreal. What we were able to endure and learn from, all because one man was willing to step up and take on the status quo. Find that. Find that passion in yourselves, and you will be unstoppable. Class of 2017, in the end, hard work and passion can be utilized to surmount the most difficult of obstacles. You can defy all the odds, but you won't be able to do that sitting on the sidelines. You have to put yourself in the game. You now have all the resources at your disposal. Use them. Put them to work for yourself. Put them to work for good. You don't have all the answers now, but you will learn, and you will continue to learn. Look what we learned by simply being able to get in a new game. Hard work is often not a glamorous thing, but if you're passionate about your choices and the decisions, and you believe in them, it can truly make life fulfilling. One last thought before you take on the world, and it's certainly a last but not least. Make sure to take the time to enjoy life. It's very easy to get wrapped up in some of the mundane things, but I remember about this because on Friday I celebrated my oldest daughter's 10th birthday. And I remember looking back on it and thinking how long a period of time that seems nominally, and yet it feels like it was just weeks ago that I was bringing her home from the hospital. Don't let that time slip you by. Make sure you enjoy it. There is no do-over. Take the time to enjoy the journey. This life is not a dress rehearsal. There is no reset button. Once you miss, there is no going back. Enjoy it, live it to the fullest, and congratulations on what you've accomplished. Thank you very much for having me here today.